Mic boosters are widely used for live performance, streaming, and of course recording. And no conversation would be complete without taking a look at the Cloudlifter CL-1. So let's check it out. Now, the vast majority of mic boosters are advertised as giving us clean gain. In the case of the CL-1, 25 dB, which is quite a bit. And this can be great if we have a very long cable run and we want to make sure we have good signal that's going to be quite a bit more than any interference picked up along the way. And of course, in a recording situation, we want to minimize the amount of noise so we have less cleanup to do later on in post. Now, there are mic boosters that do offer coloration. They actually advertise different types of coloration to the sound, and I'll be taking a look at those as well, so make sure you're subscribed if you're interested in that. But for now, let's get into the audio test on the CL-1. We're going to test boost and coloration. We'll use my voice as well as a sine wave sweep and a few specific frequencies to see just how much boost we're getting. We'll start out with the most basic test, which is just you listening to my voice, both with and without the Cloudlifter. So I've moved the microphone, the SM7B, which is arguably a quite gain-hungry mic, over to my Focusrite Scarlett 8i6. I think that's representative of what a lot of people have, and I have no Cloudlifter here. So this is directly into the 8i6. I have the gain set at 4, so I'm having to drive the preamp pretty hard, and this is the sound. And now I've added the Cloudlifter up between the SM7B and the Scarlett 8i6. And of course, there's a big difference in gain. I've moved the gain on the 8i6 down to 1130 from 4 o'clock. So this is making a big difference. The Scarlett isn't really doing very much to drive this microphone at all now. But can you tell the difference in the sound of my voice? Now, I put a 10-foot cable between the Cloudlifter and the microphone because unlike some other boosters that'll plug directly into the mic, the Cloudlifter really has to sit on the floor. So we have a 10-foot cable there, and I put a 15-foot cable between the interface and the Cloudlifter. And this is to simulate a pretty standard situation you might have in a recording environment. Of course, in a live performance, you might have far longer cables involved, and that's where, again, that extra boost is going to help keep noise to a minimum. Now, we're told that the CL-1 gives us 25 decibels of boost, so I'm going to test that to see if we get it. But more than just on the basic signal, I want to see if we're getting an even 25 dB of boost across all frequency ranges. Because if that's not the case, that means there's going to be coloration of the sound. Does using a Cloudlifter CL-1 change the characteristics of my voice? Does using a Cloudlifter CL-1 change the characteristics of my voice? Now, of course, this wasn't a scientifically accurate comparison of my voice with and without the CL-1. I tried to speak as close as possible on each take with both my tone and inflection, but there could be some variances. But looking at the linear comparison here, on whole, I have to say that this looks very similar. I don't really see anything much in terms of coloration here, so that's a good sign to get started. Let's, of course, look at a logarithmic comparison. That'll give us a better idea of what we might hear. Now, looking at the log results, I don't see any variation or coloration here in the sound. There may be a slight boost around 600 hertz, but again, within the accuracy of this test, I would call these two dead even. Now let's take a look at the recordings here I made of a sine sweep, and we'll see, in fact, in that isolated environment, if there was any difference. Now, taking a look at the comparison of the sine sweep recorded through the SM7B, of course it's taking on the coloration of the SM7B, but that's the same in both cases here. What I'm looking for is a difference, and on a linear basis, I can't see anything here that would be enough that you would hear coloration from the CL-1. But let's check out the log comparison as well. And looking at the log comparison, I see only a slight deviation in that 500-600 hertz area, as well as at the very top. Maybe a small amount at the very lowest frequencies, but overall, again, I wouldn't say there's any significant coloration here. What about boost, though? Let's check out and see just how much boost we're actually getting. To measure boost across the entire sine sweep of 20 to 20,000 hertz, I set up to record in the isolation box again at a level of minus 40 dB on a peak. And then I added in the CL-1, and I find I had 23.99, we'll say 24 dB of gain. Now, I also tested this at 3 specific frequencies: 400 hertz, 1 kilohertz, and 8 kilohertz. And at 400 hertz, I found I had a boost of 23.7 dB. At 1 kilohertz, a boost of 24 dB. And at 8 kilohertz, a boost of 24.22 dB. So very similar across all of these frequencies. I wouldn't say any coloration would be perceptible based on these readings. Now, I've done a few tests for noise introduced by the CL-1, And you'll see on screen I have a live shot on the top. That's with the CL1 connected directly into the Focusrite Scarlett 8i6, and I'm using a short 18-inch patch cable to try to introduce as little noise as possible as a result of the cable. Below it, you see a screenshot of the maximum gain noise level when I have the Scarlett 8i6 by itself with a 150 ohm resistor. So I placed a 150 ohm resistor on the microphone end of the Cloudlifter here as well. And so I'm going to gradually increase the gain. And this is with the gain set at noon on the Scarlett 8i6. And that is even higher than I've had to set it for use with the SM7B. But it'll give you an idea here. You can see that, in a live view, we're sitting still at under minus 80 dB versus the maximum noise level without the Cloudlifter was sitting below minus 90 dB, we'll say, or pretty close to that at the maximum. So, we're still at a point here where we can get a very usable signal. At this level, I can easily, out of the SM7B, end up getting peaks in around minus 12 dB, minus 10 dB, a good amount of separation between signal and noise at this level. And I wouldn't find it necessary to increase the level beyond this using the Cloudlifter here. But I will turn it all the way up to full to give you an idea of what the maximum possible noise would be. And so that's maximum gain on the 8i6 using the Cloudlifter. And you can see we get up to about a minus 60 dB noise floor here, again with a 150 ohm resistor. So there definitely is additional noise. We go from a maximum of about minus 90 dB to a maximum of about minus 60 dB. So we are introducing more noise here. Again, this test, you got to consider this is a little misleading because you would not use maximum gain typically with the Cloudlifter. But very usable in terms of noise floor. Of course, it's going to introduce noise, but nothing in the operating range. Now, I want to give you an idea how the CL1 would perform with a few different preamps. So earlier on, you heard the comparison with the Focusrite Scarlett 8i6. Now you're listening to me without the CL1, and it's going through the Universal Audio 710 Twinfinity. Now I'll add up the CL1. And now I've added the Cloudlifter in between the SM7B and the Universal Audio 710. I've gain matched this as close as possible so you can hear if there's any difference. This time I have the SM7B connected up directly to the ART voice channel, a 2 preamp. No CL1 here. Let's see what it sounds like when I add it in. And now I've added the CL1 between the SM7B and the ART voice channel. Now I've connected the SM7B directly up to the DBX286S. No CL1 here. Again, we'll do a comparison. And now I have the CL1 connected between the SM7B and the DBX286. Can you hear a difference? Okay, now as far as build quality on the CL1, this is built like a tank. It is solid metal construction. The connectors are attached on either side directly to the chassis, so really solid if you're going to be plugging and unplugging this all the time. This unit here is Class A circuitry, JFET. It is clean, as we've heard, very transparent. Size is about 4.5 inches by 2 inches square. Obviously can't plug directly into a microphone. You're going to need to have a cable on either side of it. So you want to keep the cable between this and the mic as short as possible. But beyond that, even though this is at a higher price than some of the other boosters, this is very much top quality and does provide value. Now, based on the audio tests as well as frequency analysis, I have to say that the CL1 is a very transparent microphone preamp. There really was nothing across any of the frequency ranges that would make me think or hear that there's any coloration to the sound going on. And in terms of boost, I measured 24 dB. They advertised 25. That certainly is accurate enough. I have to say there's plenty of gain here with this booster. And even at its higher price point than some of the other boosters on the market, the CL1 definitely offers value for those that want absolutely transparent sound with plenty of gain for any microphone and preamp combination.